How intriguing. How did they manage to get this far ahead of everyone else? Either way, it's good for them, it's good for us. Prosperity breeds jealousy in others, which then breeds war. His wondering eyes watched over them in awe. They enjoy the metals of the earth, pristine creations of mine. They have assigned superficial values to them, using them for trading with the rest of the world. They've also developed a writing system, a visual representation of words. Saying their accomplishments are impressive would be an understatement. This is the very best performance so far. And yet there is no sense of union. Self-preservation remains top priority for these creatures. Some lead a life free of any burdens and struggles, while others rummage through filth for a piece of food. Far from perfect, however, many crucial elements remain absent, but it'll do for the time being. It's a start, but it's not without its immediate strengths. For example, religion has shown considerable growth, although I didn't expect them to create so many visions of you. Many? Yes, far too many, in fact. I couldn't even memorize all of them. There is Ra, Anubis, Horus, Osiris, Hathor, Bastet, just way too many. Could this become a problem? No. More than one means more time spent praying per creature. It all comes back to me either way. All I need is faith and belief. It doesn't matter how, or when, or even why. Only the power of the human mind at work. Very well. There are many more quirks about them I find fascinating. Do you know what they do to their leaders after their passing? They remove their organs, dehydrate the body, and wrap it with bandages to preserve it for what they call the afterlife. What do you think of that? Nothing more than another product of their imagination. No creature lives more than once, not even ultimatums. Either way, nothing they make up matters, as long as it doesn't intervene with what I need from them. For sure, if it did, certain measures would have to be taken. The remaining moonlight shines through the windows, creating a quiet although tense ambience. Is there even a need to get rid of the body? It's not like he has a valid reason to, much less a means to do so. Carrying it downstairs? Not gonna happen. Dropping it down the window? Sure, if he wants the cops knocking on the door in the next half an hour. There really isn't a point to it. His absence will be noticed sooner or later. However, instead of tucking it in a closet and hoping the smell doesn't get too intense, he wanted to try something. What if this black substance comes in contact with someone? It's a mix of morbid curiosity and genuine experimentation. He feels the need to know as much as possible, although the higher he aims for, the more afraid he gets of receiving such answers. Kneeling beside the body, he gently places his hand on its chest. After a few seconds, it is released, but instead of floating and roaming about randomly, it's slowly enveloping itself around it. Startled at this unexpected behavior, his hand coils away, his legs springing up as he takes 2 large steps back. A black patch can be seen on the body's chest, its edges trying to expand but being unable to do so, it seems. It looks like a hole that leads nowhere, a quite unnerving sight. Gathering up courage, he steps forward and kneels once again. His hand merges freely with it as he applies more, allowing expansion. A few seconds later, the body is now almost completely covered in pure blackness. From a certain angle, one could even mistake it for some kind of ghost or shadowy figure, a man no longer. It's strange how there was little to no input from him. It just happened naturally. It's like whatever this is, it seems sentient to a degree. Not even he himself knows why he's doing this or what exactly is going to happen, but he might as well get to the end of it. After fully coating the body, he was given no time to properly react, not even to process what in the world just took place. His arms rose to cover his face as a sudden force violently pulled its surroundings towards the body, shattering the room around him and shaking the entire apartment. The closest walls detached from where they stood, falling forward into the floor. The ceiling directly above the body collapsed on top of it, revealing the dark sky. This panic-inducing and unexplainable event lasted a mere fraction of a second, almost like a reverse explosion that was cut short. Had it not been so short, it would be safe to assume the apartment wouldn't be standing much longer. And yet, even saying that it survived could only count for the next few minutes, as he could hear a slow, ominous rumbling beneath him. The sounds of shattered concrete, wood, furniture, objects, and small debris falling over all happened at once, although distorted, almost bass-boosted, easily capable of rupturing anyone's eardrums, but not his. He could hear people screaming around and below him, searching for answers among themselves regarding what exactly took place, terrified and confused. Naturally, nobody had an answer. They knew it couldn't be an earthquake, though. It happened way too instantly and abruptly. Adrenaline spiked as he glanced at the wreckage around him. With no time to wonder about what he's done, he immediately sprints back to the bedroom, jumping through the now broken window where he came from, quickly morphing his body and flying away. However, something prompts him to halt in the air. If this building collapses, taking the lives of many with it, he'll be the one responsible. No, things are already bad enough. He doesn't need to make them worse. If he does, he certainly won't be able to live with himself after. He turns around to watch over the building. If he notices any signs of a potential collapse, he will... Well, on second thought, he likely won't be able to do much, his stress spiking even further. Perhaps he might be able to save a person or two, but that's about it. He might want to stay off the radar for a little longer, but no innocent bystander should have to pay the price for it. He makes his way closer to try and determine if the foundation could hold on. Fortunately, there are no signs of cracks or fractures. The bottom seems mostly fine, although the same couldn't be said for the third story, which had large, spider-webbed cracks on the exterior walls. Despite the continuous creaking, it wasn't showing clear signs of a possible collapse. He suspects the emergency response teams have already been alerted, despite being so late at night. Relieved, he turns back around and flies into the horizon, leaving behind unintended devastation. At the very least, he probably didn't drive any home to ruins. It should be fixable. Yet he likely did give insufferable expenses to many in that building. He tries bringing his hands up to his face in a display of guilt, but there were no hands to be used, nor a face to bury somewhere in shame. Amidst the sorrow, his mind was also scrambling for an explanation for what he unleashed in that room. He did notice shortly after the explosion that the body was gone, having seemingly vanished into oblivion. Not even a trace of its existence could be found on the floor, not even blood. He can't even begin to try and decipher how it happened. There just isn't a plausible explanation. He doesn't know what this substance is, if it even is a substance of sorts. It's better to shove the identity of this seven-headed monster to the back of his head, for the time being, like a lingering ominous thought that'll never go away. As he is slowly traveling through the sky beneath the gentle moon, his mind just can't be put to rest. Things have barely just begun and he's already committed an atrocity. But still, it was an accident. He didn't mean it. That's all the reason he's got to avoid breaking down. One thing's for sure, this power he holds, it's volatile, dangerous, and worst of all, seemingly impossible to understand. An enigma. Recalling the moments where his body failed to listen gives him shivers, not to mention what just happened minutes ago. There is no sugarcoating it. He's terrified, and rightfully so. This isn't a pleasant power like the mere ability to fly or read minds. He doesn't even know the extent of it. And yet, buried under all those mountains of fear, there is a shred of genuine curiosity, the wish to know the unknown, the wish to know the forbidden. Upon wondering further about that event, a very crucial question sprouted in his mind. Why wasn't he pulled in? Everything around him was. The walls, the furniture, the floor, even the ceiling. All except him. That is certainly strange, but much appreciated. There's way too much on his plate already. It's almost daylight and he has nowhere to stay. The middle of the forest isn't exactly an option. Neither is anywhere close to an urban environment, it seems. Then, what about a cave? They were a blessing for our ancestors, and not without reason. It's a good refuge, and for the most part, safe, depending on the cave in question. It'll have to do for now. Before leaving the town, he noticed something. The police had already secured the scene where his first murder took place, scouting for any clues at the site that could give them a lead. There's a lot in there that will surely be linked back to him, and he's still wondering if it was justified to kill that man. Never once has he looked at a crime scene and thought, I'm the one who did that. It's chilling, to say the least, only further increasing his chances to break down at any given moment. Trying to look for a cave was much harder than he thought. After almost an hour of flying amidst the dense forest, he finally comes across a small, cozy cave entrance on the side of a small mountain. Upon closer inspection, it is a small area, compact and open, made out of chalky, pale limestone. The ground is surprisingly smooth and even, facilitating movement. The walls are rough and craggy, however, but they're of less importance. Changing his body back to normal, he walks inside, immediately lying on the ground, totally spent. It's surprisingly relaxing, his dense clothes preventing him from feeling the harsh coldness of the stone floor. His hat, however, makes it difficult to glance up at the ceiling, but it's not like he can take it off. He isn't sure how long he should stay. Perhaps a day. There really isn't much reason for him to stay here. The journal gave him the hint that he should go to New York, mainly because of that so-called necromancer. Before moving on, though, he should get more of that red vapor. He felt a surge of power every time he absorbed it, and there's no telling what sort of dangers await him in that city. Better to be prepared. He does know where he is now, having noticed a welcome banner before retreating into the woods. He's in Juneau, the capital of Alaska. That is approximately 3,350 miles away from New York. Despite being able to fly, that isn't exactly an ideal trip to be taking, especially when he can't even dream to reach the speed of a plane. The thought of how long it's going to take is already boring him to death. Something odd that strikes him is how long he hasn't felt an ounce of hunger or thirst since waking up. Nothing more than a small piece of burning wood that is the state of his body. If anything, that's a curse disguised as a blessing, with properties from both worlds. If he doesn't need to eat or drink, he won't waste time satisfying those needs. But he also loses a crucial element of being human. It's something that will certainly worsen his mental state with time, being denied the satisfaction of eating and drinking. Regarding his next course of action, he should return to the city for a hunt, growing stronger in the process. At least that's what it feels like. His mind wanders off to random topics as he lies in the middle of the cave, the only sound accompanying his rest being an occasional water drop from the ceiling somewhere, hitting against the floor, echoing throughout the small space. He doesn't even know if he has any loved ones, people that are worried about him, making it 10 times worse than being aware of who misses you. After trying his best to flush the random thoughts out of his head, he eventually falls asleep. The next day, while waiting for the night, he spent hours understanding his physical capabilities and resistance to trauma in the forests. He was lifting large rocks with ease, as well as blasting craters in them with his bare fists. He was sprinting across the forest at full speed without ever getting tired. At a given moment, he picked up a small pointy rock and threw it at a thick tree with so much force and precision it pierced through its insides, coming out the other end. He also soared into the sky, subjecting himself to a 150-meter fall, which felt more like a 5-meter one, a small crater being left behind, shattering the earth. And even after all of this, he didn't as much as break a sweat. It felt like no more than a morning walk. It's safe to say he's pretty much a super soldier, with a supernatural sprinkle on top of it. His strength, stamina, and resistance are hundreds of times higher than that of the average human. If this is the case, it's unlikely even big groups of people will be able to stop him, although he can't be sure that everyone he'll meet is going to be an ordinary human, and thus letting this power fantasy get to his head could result in a quick, unfulfilling death. He's still a man, he thinks. It should stay that way. In the wrong hands, all this power could have been catastrophic, but he'll be different, responsible and wise. That's what he hopes for, at least, as many tend to do.